Phone. Hopefully I can plug it in the middle of the stream and have it work. Oh man. 1 second, guys. This might not be as good of an angle as I thought. 1 second. So this is gonna be a brain dump. So what I want to do is talk about some of the most useful, in my opinion, Linux commands and Unix commands that I'm gotta keep it, don't keep it too real. Make sure the audio is good and the microphone isn't going crazy. So I'm actually on a little short road trip to my home away from home, my other apartment in New Jersey. All right, hopefully this should be good. All right, so I have a house out here in the middle of nowhere, and I have an apartment close to Manhattan, which I'm going to do some quick work, weather stripping, and things of that nature. But anyway, that's not what you came here to listen to. We're gonna talk. This is gonna be, I hope it's not too shaky. This is gonna be a brain dump. Let me put this on my seatbelt. So basically, popular Unix and Linux commands that I use. This is not, as you can tell, scripted. I didn't plan to do this video. It's something that I just thought would be helpful, and I thought I'd give it a shot. So we both don't know what's about to happen here. And so far already it's been a little bit of an adventure. So let's just see how the meat of the content actually goes after we've gotten everything sorted out. Hopefully we shall see. So the format here is, I'm just gonna, off the top of my head, talk about some Linux commands and things that I think you should know if you're gonna be working in a Unix or Linux environment. I am more going to be giving you sort of pointers, like check out this command, check out that command. I may mention some details about the command and how I use it, but more or less, I'm really giving you homework, right? I'm not just gonna hand it to you in this one, as I do sometimes. This is one where I'm gonna give you the homework. It is for you to take the initiative, hear what I'm saying, recognize some of what I'm saying that might apply to you, and for you to go do the research and see what it is that I was talking about in this video. All right, no particular format, just whatever comes to mind. So first of all, and I did a video about Unix and Linux commands. You should definitely take a look at that. That goes more detail into a specific group of commands. But anyway, I'm gonna start with, let's see, what would I say is one of the most popular types of commands? I think I'm gonna, on the fly, try to come up with some kind of structure to the video and not be totally random. So maybe we start with system resources, which is a pretty standardized thing. You're gonna wanna know how your resources are going, depending on whatever the role you have. This is a key thing if you're interacting with a Unix or Linux box. I wanna know resources. So what's one of the big drains on resources? Processes, right? You have processes that are running, they're taking up memory, they're taking up CPU. So you can have a rogue process that's hogging all the power, which is slowing down other processes. It's affecting trading, right? So PS, right? PS. Postscript? It's not postscript. But anyway, that's gonna get you a list of processes, right? So naturally, once I mention PS, the next command that naturally comes to mind, because PS alone, first of all, PS, you're going to have options, right? So you can use the man page, so you can man PS to find out what the different options are. It's going to be something like a PS dash, some letter, number, or something, and that's going to give you a filtered result. I want to see processes, but in this way, right? I'm interested in, this is the information that I'm looking for in processes, right? So you put your filter in there, your filter being generated by the option. So PS dash something, right? Man page, and we'll have a listing of the dashes and the options and what they do for you. But a key thing that just about anyone's going to be using who's using PS is they're going to want to filter the results themselves manually in some way, and that's going to be usually by PID, so the process ID, or the name of the process, right? So if you're kind of poking in the dark and I don't really know what I'm looking for, you know, I might just do a generic PS with some options. But I'm trying to remember the cruise control here. 1 second, I haven't driven this car in a few. 1 second. You set it and forget it. No, it's not on. There we go. Set. All right. So that's one less thing I have to focus on is my speed. Anyway, so grep, right? If you're poking in the dark, you're just going to use PS with one of the options and see what comes up, right? But if you have an idea or there's something you want to specifically look at, you can grep. So you can pipe grep, right? That's the broken line. It looks like a line, but it's broken in the middle. And we call that pipe, and we use it as a verb when we say we pipe it, right? So we pipe it to grep. So PS dash whatever options, pipe, grep, and then you're gonna put your options. My camera angle is so challenged today. Just me. I'm gonna pull up in a second and adjust this so it's a little bit better. Anyway, I can also move my chair. So anyway, so I'm gonna grep by the process name, right? So that brings us to grep. Grep is one of the most valuable commands. If you're going to be operating in a Linux Unix environment, you should be a master at grep, right? Look into grep, look at the man page, man grep. So you look at the man page for grep, and then look at all the different options in there, and be very, very familiar with grep. You're going to be using grep all over the place. First instance, to grep your PS results. Right? Grep by process name, grep by PID. I'll throw in a bonus. You have commands like awk and sed. Sed being a streamline editor. I would say on the advanced side, if you're a beginner, you should at least look into awk and sed and learn what they are and what they do. Maybe pick a few one-liners that might be helpful to you, very simple ones that isn't too confusing, because sed and awk can get a little bit crazy with the syntax and all kinds of symbols and whatever. You can get overwhelmed. If you're a beginner, I don't want you getting involved in all that, right? But you could pick an easy thing. I'll tell you what, I'm sure I covered this in another video. This is something for you to look up. Substitution. How do you do a find and replace, right? So, and you can, pipe is also, I guess let's put pipe in a similar category to grep. If you're going to be operating in a Linux or Unix environment, you should not only be a grep master, but you should also be a pipe master. By the way, you don't actually need pipe to use grep, right? Pipe is just when you want to, it's kind of a flow control, right? I'm typing in a command and I want to feed the output of that command to another command, right? And then you can pipe even further. You can pipe to some command, pipe to some other command, pipe to some other command. And that's how you can create a really complex and useful one-liner, as we call it. So when we say one-liner, we're referring to, oh, I knew that was going to hurt. We're referring to basically a command that literally takes up one line, right? And the way that you can do that is with grouping of commands. So another little tip there is using the semicolon. So with the semicolon, I don't know how I would describe that. Maybe consider it to be like a semicolon. Consider it to be like a end of line type of thing. So within one line, I can type in multiple lines worth of things because I have the semicolon. So I have this command, blah, blah, blah. So it's not pipe. Pipe, you're feeding output from one command. The output of this command, I want to feed it as a source or as an input to the next command, right? So pipe is is flow control, right? Output, pipe, that's why it's a perfect word, right? Pipe is like a pipe. You have a flow, right? The flow is the output of one command, right? And you can funnel that flow through, imagine an actual pipe. Imagine the command's output is some kind of a liquid, right? So you connect one pipe to another pipe, and that's how you can have this substance, liquid, whatever it is, go from here to there, and then you have an elbow. You get the idea, right? So plumbing analogy. This, what is up with this camera angle? It is like so low. I feel like it's moving. Hopefully it stays in a pretty good position. Let's angle a little bit back. All right, there we go. That's good enough. So you should become a grep master and a pipe master. These are two things I think you should definitely look into a lot. I think I was talking about piping the output of PS to grep to filter bright processing. Okay, so I think we're good with that, right? Another system resource, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked there. So I think I was talking about set and awk, more advanced, but as a beginner, you should at least be aware. I like to plan ahead, right? So even though I'm not necessarily going somewhere immediately, the fact that I want to know that this is in the future in the cards. So some of the actions that I'm taking now can sort of take that into account. So the fact that even as a beginner, that there's this thing called set and awk, and you have an idea of what they do, and even better, you can do something as simple as a find and replace. That's going to help you as you get more advanced. You're going to come up with situations where you're going to recognize that these commands might be helpful, maybe for the find replace, or maybe for something else, and then you're going to go and you're going to research and figure it out, and then, oh wow, here's something new I can do with set. And then over time, you're going to get to be able to do more and more things with set and awk, right? So I would figure out to do a find and replace. Find a string. So let's say you have a text file, and it's a list of names. It's a log of events with the person's name, and someone screwed up somewhere, so a person's name is misspelled, right? So in this text file, the person's name is misspelled, and it's a log file, so their name is all over the file, right? Whenever they do something, the log entry references their name and it's misspelled. So I could use something like sed, which I would more want to use to edit a document, to go in there, pattern search for the person's name, right? And then you have like a find string, and you put them in the slashes, and then you have the syntax says, not literally says this, but this is what it means. The interpretation by the interpreter of this syntax says, in these slashes is the string I'm looking for, and in these slashes is what I want to replace it with, right? And then you could do a global, you can, I want to do it on this line, or, between these series of lines, or I want to do it globally for the entire file. And then you can output it as a display thing in terms of what you see. So I don't want to actually modify the file. I want to modify how the file looks to me in this moment. so I can output to the display, right? Or I can specify a file name, a new file name. So let's say it's a fixed log. I have a fixed log as the source file, and I'm outputting to fix edited.log, right? So you can create a new file that has all of these modifications, right? So that's it. So that's PS. Little bonus with the awk. Awk is you can do some things like that as well, but I think for more advanced editing of a document, you more want to do sed than you want to do with awk. But awk can do, so you're going to find a lot of overlap between sed and awk in certain areas. In other areas, and I think when you get more advanced, I think sed is going to be the tool you're going to want more use. But look into awk and sed. So beyond PS, you have a command called top. So top is a command where you are more looking at CPU usage. So what's using the CPU? What's the top process that's using the CPU? And you can specify, what you want to see, what you want to prioritize. There's htop, which is really nice. It may not be available in your environment, but if it is, congratulations. Htop is where it's at. So htop is a more advanced version of top. It features color coding, so you can actually see, instead of just black and white, you can see a display that's in color, which can be very helpful. So that's another command to know. Free is another command. Free is more on the memory side. So how much memory is free, right? As the name suggests. I'm gonna start getting a really bad reception, so I'm gonna see if I can speed things up here. Let's see, PS top. Netstat for networking. Netstat can tell you the status of ports, whether they're listening or not. You can see networking activity, connections, things like that. You can pipe that to grep to look for port and IP numbers. You want to look for certain things on the networking side. I would say less is a command that you definitely want to know in a production environment. VI and VIM. VI is great for looking at and editing text files. VIM is a more advanced version. VI improved. More advanced version of that. You might not have VIM. You might only have VI. I would say less is a very powerful production tool. VI and VIM are dangerous. If you're looking at a production fix log, that can be very, very dangerous. 1 second. I got allergies. I got allergies. I love my allergies. Ugh. So VI or VIM are not the kind of files you want to use. Let's say you're opening up a very large text file, a very large fixed log. You can bog down system resources. All right. Less is a better command to use. That is safer. And another technique that I think is good, that I use a lot in a production environment, it depends on the environment. Every environment is different. Scenarios are different. I apply the strategies that are most relevant for the case, right? So in some situations, I might want to do an extract, right? So instead of me reading and looking at a live production log, which can be very dangerous, right? So know what you're doing. Know that this is risky. So you got to understand certain things, right? Instead of doing that, what I can do is I can do a quick stream, pull from the logs, a part of the log, into a separate file in my local environment that I can look at to my heart's content. I'm no longer on a production server. I'm on my local machine. I can go nuts, right? Sometimes that is the approach. So I might do a Again, grep, I can grep for a string. So let's say a client order ID or an order ID within a fixed log, and I can output that to a text file. So now I have every single reference to this particular order in a separate file in my local environment, and I can have fun, do whatever. I'm no longer at risk of messing with anything. So be aware of that. You also want to be aware of like what your user privilege is. Now, in a production environment, you're probably going to have a sort of what's the word? A privileged account that allows you to do a lot of dangerous things. You only want to use that when you need to use that, right? So you want to downgrade your privileges, or you want to use your lowest privileged account that you need to do what you're doing, right? Because, for example, if you're using an account that has the ability to write to a fixed log, right, and you forget and you go into VI or something, which is dangerous, you can save the fixed log, a production log, with some changes that you made by accident. So there's a way you can use VI as an option, as a read-only mode. So that's something you can do to prevent that from happening. But in general, you want to be very, very careful. So I would say also, what else is a good command to know? Your piping, your grepping, your PSing. I want to know memory. Disk free, so DF. You're concerned with disk, space. I want to know what are the largest folders, what are the largest files. I can use DF. A popular option I use with that is -H for human readable. I want to see gigabytes, megabytes, right? Because otherwise the default I think is bytes, which is not that useful. So that's it for system resources. So I am looking at files, I'm grepping them, I'm piping them. Tail, the popular command, tail-F to look at a log file in real time, so I can see the log file updating. Be aware of buffering. This is a more advanced topic, but buffering is something you need to be aware of. There's buffering relevant to grep, there's buffering relevant to tail, right? So what I mean is the general concept you need to be aware of is they will buffer data up until the buffer is filled, meaning you are not going to necessarily be getting a real-time view, meaning there's going to be latency. So a log file could potentially have updates that you don't see yet because grep is waiting until the buffer gets full to do a dump where you're going to see it on the screen, right? So it's like things are happening, grep sees it, right? Tail sees it, but they hold on to it in this buffer until it gets to capacity. So while that's happening, you're blind to what's happening. So you're not getting an actual real time. So if you're in an environment, high-speed trading or something like that, you're going to be blind. There's going to be some level of latency while the buffer is being filled. Once it gets filled, then it's like, boom, it dumps it to the screen so you can see it. But keep that in mind. These are things you need to be aware of, especially when you're piping one command to the next, to the next, to the next. You're going to see sometimes strange behavior. So learn about buffering from grep, learn about buffering from tail. Also head. So tail is more looking at the bottom of a file, so you can see the bottom. Usually that's where the file is being written to, right? New line, new line, new line at the bottom, right? So you can see tail-F showing you that. You can use head to see the top of a file. You can do head-1, head-2. Some options for grep that you should be aware of. Grep-I for case insensitive. Grep-V for case. For inverse grep. I want to see. Show me the lines that do not contain this string, right? There's also context controls. So show me the line with this string and also 3 lines before and 3 lines below. See if I can remember what those options are. It's I don't remember offhand. But it's in the man page for grep. It's what is it? Grep forward and backward. It's like grep dash, I think it's a capital letter, maybe dash A and dash B. Comment below if I got that correct. Comment below if I got that right. It's like, I think it's dash A and dash B. I think it's dash A to go up and dash B to go down. And then you put the number of lines you want to see. So if I'm right, it would be like a grep dash A, and I forget the syntax offhand, but it'd be like somewhere in there you put 3 or 4, and that's how many lines above, how many lines below. So let's say there's an error in the log, and I want to see what preceded the error. I can say, I'll just randomly, I may say, let me see 5 lines before or 10 lines before. What was happening just immediately before this? And what was happening immediately after this? I want to get a sense of, this happened and that happened, and so on and so forth, right? What else? So you see we got back into grep. That's how powerful grep is, right? There's a lot of grep things. You really need to master grep. Case insensitive. Oh, find. How could I forget find? You got to know find, right? Find is a very, very powerful tool. And by the way, learn about the concept of recursive. I can do a grep recursive, which is so grep is searching within a file for a string, right? Or a series of string. I can do an egrep, which allows me regular expressions. So I think it's in quotes, and then you type it to do an or. So show me lines that have this string or that string, right? You separate the strings, I believe, by a pipe. So there's also, so you're doing a grep for different pattern matching. I forgot what I was saying. Oh my God, what was I saying? So grep, egrep, learn about egrep for regular expressions. That's a very powerful tool. Recursive, right? So grep-r. So normally I'm searching just for strings. I can specify a particular file, or I can specify file patterns in this directory, everything that ends in log, right? Search all the files that end in log for this particular string, right? I can say, show me the names of the files where you find the string. I think that's -L, maybe. You find a file with this string. I want to see the name of the file. grep-c. How many files have this string in it? Or how many times is this string in this particular file? Right? So grep-c. Grep-r, recursive. Don't just look in this directory. Look recursively. So this directory and all the subdirectories of this directory, I want to know where you see this string, right? So that's kind of a hack, a find hack in a way, where I'm searching all over the place recursively for a string. But really, find is the powerful tool. I see the popo is somewhere nearby. The police is hitting me up. That's a radar detector that is telling me behind me somewhere is someone with a radar gun sending K-band. We're not speeding, but still. Anyway, so if you're trying to find a file by file name or by contents or by modified date, files modified today, find, literally find is the command, right? Learn and master the find command. You have to be a master of find for sure. Find dash name is a popular option that I use a lot. I'll leave it at that for now. So you're searching for files, you're looking at system resources, you're grepping, you're modifying a file and streamline editing it with said. Telnet to port and IP, a super helpful network diagnostic technique, right? Trace route, of course, as well. Trace the route of the packets to the destination. So I'm trying to connect to a server, I'm having problems. A process is trying to connect to a server or destination, and there's a problem. How far is it getting? illuminate the pathway, right? The last IP that shows up, I want to focus on that IP because something's probably happening there. If the last IP is one of my routers, it's going to be an issue in my network most likely, right? If the last IP is outside the network, now you're getting to an external, reasoning for the networking issue. But telnetting to the port and IP, perfect, right? I'm simulating. So your application, your backend application is trying to make a connection, right? And it's unable to do so. The same kinds of problems that would cause that, you're going to run into them as well if you try to make that connection. So if you log into the server where that application is trying to connect from, so let's say you have the smart order router, right? So you have a server where the smart order router process actually runs. I can log into that server, right? So now I'm on the box. And from that box, try to initiate a connection to the destination that the smart order router is trying to connect to, right? If I can do it, then I know that it is possible, right? There is a pathway, right? The port's not blocked, right? The destination is up and listening. They are ready and able to make a connection or establish a connection. So something is wrong with that process. The smart order router is having an issue. It's a problem with that application. It's not a networking issue per se. It could be, but more than likely, it's a problem with the application. So now I want to probably jump into the application logs and see what's going on. But I've confirmed that I can connect to the port and the IP, right? So I know there's a pathway there, right? Trace route to check the path, ping, and there's also a ping. You can do a ping where it continually pings as well. So that's a good tool to see connection stability, because you can connect now, but what about a second from now? What about a second from then, right? Can you maintain a connection through time, not just in the moment? Because if I just do a ping, all I'm confirming is what I can do in this moment. But if I do the ping, I think there's a timeout value that you can put ping-t or something, then I can continually ping. Now be careful in a production environment, running a continual ping like that. That can be problematic. You might even be picked up by some of the, cybersecurity, mechanisms, which might look at this as bad behavior of a malicious process or something. But in a situation where this is okay to do, you can run a ping continually to see through time. You can even output this to a file, right? I can do a bash script. So you definitely want to learn how to do shell scripting. Bash is usually the native shell. So I would want to master the shell. You can do, you can do bash scripting, you can do corn shell, you can do C shell, right? But I would want to definitely master the native shell. Know the native shell of the environment you're in and master that shell. Know how to do scripting in that shell. That is best. That is. All right, guys, we're going to continue this another time. I'm in the mountains, unfortunately, so the reception's not going to get any better. It's just going to get worse. Hopefully it didn't get too bad, because I don't know how bad. I don't know how long I've been in a bad spot, but I'm going to end the stream. If you enjoy this format, you like this kind of content, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll do more of these. And it's just kind of like raw and just like on the spur of the moment. So a little bit rough, but hopefully it was still helpful to you guys. And if it was, let me know and I'll do more of them. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'm going to sign off. I'm going to try to sign off. Daddy. I'm going to try to sign off.